Hi, everyone. I'm Will Osborne with Madison Trust and Broad Financial.
And I'm Ryan Connolly, same. I'm with Madison Trust and Broad Financial here. So,
Yeah, and we're
yeah,
talking about cryptocurrency investing with a self-directed IRA. So
let's jump
let's
right
get
into
right
it.
in. Yeah, let's do it. So let's start with the basics, which we always do, but just want to make sure everyone's on the same page here. So a self-directed IRA, it's an IRA, just like you'd find anywhere else. The difference really is the fact that through a self-directed IRA, you can invest in alternative in assets. Crypto is included under that designation, but you could also invest in real estate, private companies, private loans. I can go on and on. But really, if it's not stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, or if it's not publicly traded, of course, other than crypto, you can more than likely invest in that with a self-directed IRA. Whereas a standard IRA is for your more conventional assets, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, all that good stuff. So name any big brokerage firm, you can set up a standard or conventional IRA with them. So that's really about it.
Yeah,
And we happen to have the ability to hold these
alternative assets,
alternative
yeah, different
assets.
than your standard Charles Schwab's, Fidelity's, Vanguards. So,
Right.
yeah.
Exactly. Popular names that we see people transfer from. Good companies, of course, but they don't do what we do.
So let's get into what is a checkbook IRA, and this is really important in the crypto space, especially in Broad Financial and Madison Trust case. So a checkbook IRA is a type of self-directed IRA that gives you the more ability, I guess, and greater control to invest your retirement funds than a standard IRA or even, standard self-directed IRA in essence. But the checkbook IRA it gives you more, I guess, freedom and ability to invest your funds in real time without having to contact your custodian for your everyday transactions. So instead of contacting us for a crypto purchase or exchange or even another investment, you can basically do it on your own through this checkbook IRA. So it's a little more, I guess it cuts out the red tape, if you will.
100%. And you said real-time access. That's exactly what the checkbook IRA is for. And you already mentioned this, but you don't have to go through Madison Trust, which is the custodian here, to process transactions. And to make one thing clear, clients who want a checkbook IRA, which is needed for crypto, and we'll get into it, but for clients that want the checkbook IRA, Broad Financial is going to be involved. Broad Financial is
Yes.
setting up the structure that gives you the real-time access. Madison is the custodian of the IRA, and that Madison Trust IRA will basically hold either the LLC or trust that Broad Financial is setting up. So that's how the relationship works. We're on both sides. We can help out on both sides, just so you
Exactly.
know. But yeah, that's really what the checkbook IRA affords you. And whether you go the trust or LLC route, what the entity that you set up is going to be opening up an account with the exchange of your choice. I'm sure we'll get into more of that here,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
that's really
Exactly.
why we're bringing it up this early. So yeah, so here are the two options. So the LLC is just one of these, one of an entity type that would give you the ability to manage your own IRA funds. So the LLC operating agreement includes language that would allow a client to manage their own IRA funds, basically. References to the applicable Internal Revenue Code sections, references to how it should be managed, all that good stuff. The fact that
Yeah.
the Madison IRA is the sole owner, this is going to be included in the operating agreement to make sure it's compliant, so there are no issues going forward. And a checking account will be set up for the LLC. So the Madison Trust IRA is funded, and as soon as that LLC is set up and the checking account is established, that's when we move funds from the Madison IRA to the LLC.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I'll hop into the IRA trust, which is similar. In this case, I mean, the only difference, I guess, comes with setup times and that you don't have the liability protection of an LLC, but in essence, it's similar. Gives you that capability to invest on your time. So still same way, creating a trust bank account. We're sending funds ultimately to this trust. So I guess think of the trust as just an alternative, really.
Exactly. It's an alternative to the LLC, other than, the fact that the trust doesn't have the same liability protection naturally. There is added privacy because the trust documents are not public
Right.
record, whereas in most states, the LLC
The
documents are, at
LLCs.
least the
Right.
articles of organization and such.
Yeah.
So it's added privacy there, bit easier to maintain. There's no state reporting requirements or renewal fees with trusts, whereas LLCs do have that requirement. So I could see a client whose main focus is crypto just going with the trust
Right.
because they're not going to be typically they wouldn't be worried about liability arising
Right.
from those investments.
Exactly. And I'd say sometimes people go with LLCs, maybe if the exchange they want to use it, we'll
Right.
probably get into this later as
Yeah,
well, but
100%.
the exchange that they want to use only takes LLC accounts rather than trust accounts or vice versa. So that's something to do your due diligence on as you're going through this process also.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So I think it's safe to move on to here next. So yeah, you
Yeah,
start
yeah,
it off there.
yeah. So I use a checkbook IRA for crypto investing. So like we mentioned a couple times already, direct control, able to make transfers, purchase crypto through the exchange of your choice on a daily basis, for lack of a better term. So really just being able to do so all the time and enhance flexibility. So you're able to choose your preferred exchanges. Just to name a couple, ones that I've seen, Coinbase, Kraken, Gemini. Definitely not limited to those by any means, but those are just some of the main three
Popular
that I
option.
hear.
Yeah.
And then true diversification. So yeah, adding these digital assets can diversify your retirement beyond those Wall Street products. So again, just gives you more control and kind of direct access and ability to choose your own investments than the standard, Fidelity, Charles Schwab accounts. And then tax advantage, and then they can grow either in a tax deferred, in a pre-tax account, traditional in our case, or a tax-free environment, which is a Roth in the IRA's case. So
Exactly. Yeah. And in going back to flexibility, I do want to mention something that I think is pretty important. So there are custodians out there in our industry that do have relationships with exchanges already. So that does cut out the need for a checkbook IRA, or in other words, an LLC or a trust. But some of those I can't speak for everybody, but there might be limitations there. So if you want to get into a specific coin or token that's not offered, these big custodians probably won't be able to help. So a scenario like that would lead you to us where you can set up an LLC or a trust, work with the exchange of your choice that holds that particular coin or token, and basically move your funds from the IRA, then to the LLC or trust, and then to that exchange to ultimately make your investment. So that's a very popular use case. Or you just would rather have everything under one roof. You're going to be investing in crypto plus real estate and other assets. You can do it through the LLC, and again, you're
yeah,
cutting out the red tape that would be there otherwise if you didn't have the checkbook model.
right.
So just thought I'd mention that, but probably can move on here. So yeah, with us, you're going to need to choose the crypto exchange. So we sort of alluded to this already. Do your research before getting started because you need to make sure that the exchange is willing to open up an account for an LLC or a trust. And they're more than likely going to look at the LLC documents and see that it's an IRA that owns the entity. So they have to be okay with that. And again, Coinbase, generally speaking, is okay with the LLC. They're less receptive to the trust. Kraken and Gemini, popular options. These are just names that we see all the time. There could be other
Yeah,
exchanges out there, as Ryan mentioned. So definitely make sure that's covered before you move forward with us. And yeah, the exchange account is going to be opened in the name of the LLC or the trust, not your name personally. So it's basically an institutional account with the exchange for an LLC or a trust. That's really all it is. And the LLC or the trust happens to be held by an IRA, which gives it the same tax advantage. I know that's verbose, but that's that's what's happening
yeah,
basically.
exactly.
And yeah, I mean, obviously, look for these sort of qualities in an exchange. Security is very important, of course. Got to make sure that whatever you want to invest in is available on their platform, and take a look at the fees too. You don't want to go somewhere where the fees are exorbitant.
Yeah,
We're going to be charging fees, of course, but we are not charging transaction fees at the exchange level. Of course, that's going to be charged by whatever exchange you
right.
choose. So independent of whatever we're charging. Just want to make that very clear.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So a couple of things to consider from the compliance perspective. So I'll start at the top there. So aim to avoid prohibited transactions. So transferring personal crypto holdings into the IRA, vice versa, without taking a distribution, things of that nature. Other than that, it's pretty much just making sure you're not commingling, your personal crypto investments, with your IRA crypto investments.
Right.
So in essence, separate accounts to be safe, to make sure nothing's gonna, no taxable event would happen in your
Exactly.
case.
Yeah.
So yeah, just kind of put that out there. But and then same thing, yeah, just like what I was saying, any earnings or gains must flow back into your checkbook IRA checking account. So if you wanted to take funds out, so obviously they can stay in the exchange and you can reinvest those as needed. But if you were to send them back, make sure you're sending them back into the checkbook IRA directly. Just making sure you're not sending them back to you personally. And then last thing is that cryptos can be volatile, as most of us know. Make sure you're doing your due diligence, maybe talking to a tax professional and making sure it's the right investment for you.
Exactly. Because we're going to make all this possible but it's not our role to provide advice. So keep that in mind. We'll make sure everything's in place for you to be able to invest in crypto and really get into whatever opportunity you'd like to. But just keep in mind our role is really just that, making sure it's possible, taking care of the custodial duties, setting up the checkbook structure in the first place. So yeah, just I'm glad we included that here to make that very clear.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, let's see what's going on next. All right. So there is obviously there are a few steps here in terms of getting started for the checkbook IRA for cryptocurrency. No matter what, everyone starts with the Madison Trust self-directed IRA. It's an online application, pretty easy, takes a few minutes. Then you'll move on to the broad financial application. Now that's either going to be the LLC or the trust, just one or the other. And typically, if a potential client speaks to Ryan or I or one of our colleagues,
Yeah.
we send them an application link that makes sure that once the Madison application's done, they do get a welcome email from Madison that has that broad financial application. Just trying to make it really easy for everyone. If someone has a hard time finding it, we'll just send a new one. It's not a big
Yeah.
deal. But anyway, while that's in progress, while the IRA is getting set up, while the LLC or trust is getting set up, you can move on to funding even if those steps aren't done completely yet. So if you're funding from an existing IRA, in my opinion, that's easier. You're just
Yeah.
filling out our transfer form. We send that to the custodian that you're working with currently, and they'll send the funds to us. If it's a rollover from like an old employer or similar, then you're contacting the plan administrator, give them our delivery instruction. And when I say our, I mean Madison Trust's delivery instructions, and they'll send the funds to us directly. So there's no tax implications or penalties, anything like that. Contributions are fine too. That's a piece of cake. All you need is a really hard delivery
Yeah.
instructions. Fill out a deposit form so we know what year it's for and all that good stuff.
Yeah. Then send in the check wire, pretty much.
Exactly. And yeah, hopefully by then the structure that Broad Financial has set up or will be setting up has been established at that point so that we can move on to funding. Yeah, and you take care of the rest there.
Yeah. So then from there, once the LLC or the trust is set up, for your IRA in this case, basically just opening a business checking account in the name of that entity, which we use Titan Bank as our preferred bank. Not 100% limited to them, but they just make the process easy and simple. They
Definitely.
reach out to you, pre-fill an application, make it easy. And then ultimately the last step from our end, in essence, is instructing Madison to send the funds to the new Titan Bank checking account. So that's done with an investment authorization form. It's a quick form. Just we need to know the wire instructions, the amount you're looking to send. That ultimately completes the process. We'll process that, send that out within our processing times. And then from there, once you have that in that account, hopefully you have the exchange account open at that point in time. Maybe you don't, maybe it's still in process, but in essence, you'd open your Coinbase, your Kraken, your Gemini account. And then from there, you basically move the funds from that IRA checking account directly into that crypto account, whether that's by, wire or ACH or potentially just a bank transfer, whatever you prefer to get it there. And then the last step is ultimately, purchasing, your Bitcoins, your Ethereums, things like that, at that
Exactly.
point in time. So
100%. Perfect. All right. So yeah, there are many benefits to using Broad Financial and Madison Trust together to make this possible. So the process is streamlined. We've been doing this at the end there. You'll see we've been doing this for a while. We've been doing this for 15 years, setting up these checkbook structures, either the LLC or the trust. We used to outsource the custodian. This is before I was working here, but we
yeah,
used to outsource the custodial services to other custodians in the industry. And I suppose the service at these various custodians really wasn't cutting it for the clients. And some of that blame was put on Broad Financial. It's unjustified, but that's just the way it goes
yeah,
sometimes. So naturally, the partners decided, hey, let's just set up our own custodian. That ended up being Madison Trust more than 10 years ago. And with that, we have everything in place to keep everything in-house, basically. Even though there's two separate companies, we work closely to make sure the process goes smoothly. IRA set up with Madison, structure like the LLC or the trust is done by Broad, and Broad just sends it over to Madison to hold in the respective IRA.
yeah,
Other than that, the fees with us are transparent and they're flat. So for the LLC, Broad would charge $1,295
yep,
one time to get that set up. The trust would be $1,195, so a little bit less there. And there's no asset-based holding fees. So the Madison Trust quarterly fee would be $110, and that doesn't matter what the value of the trust or LLC is. It doesn't matter how many investments are held underneath the
Yeah, it
LLC or trust.
could be two crypto, maybe one type of crypto, could be 10, could have accounts at multiple exchanges. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Still going to be 110 per quarter. And then our staff here is incredible. Our customer service is top notch. You can take a look at our reviews online. They're exceptional, nearly 5 stars across the board. So they really do speak for themselves. But you'll see once you get onboarded that our team here is fantastic, can answer your questions, are very responsive and knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and proven expertise. 15 years. Ryan and I talk to people every day who want to invest in crypto, and many of them move forward with this LLC or trust structure
Right.
for that. So they have more flexibility. They get to choose the coins, they choose the exchange. They're not subject to a custodian's transaction fees plus an exchanges fees, in terms of transaction fees at least. So yeah, these are all reasons why we're ready to go help you out with crypto investing through a self-directed IRA. All right. Yeah, and here's our contact us page. If you are not a current client, reach out to us. Ryan and I are on the front lines here, if you will,
Yeah,
onboarding
exactly.
clients. Anyone who's a current client, please feel free to reach out to our support teams if you need assistance at any point. And if you are a broader Madison client, refer a friend. We have incentives there for you. So yeah, feel free to send anyone who may be interested our way. We're happy to help out for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And current client for Broad Financial and Madison Trust, we have support teams on both sides to help out
Exactly.
if needed. So feel free to reach out. They're great. And then, yeah, new clients, just feel free to schedule a call with us, give us a call, and then we can always talk through what your options are and just kind of take it from there.
Yeah, definitely.